Oh, hi, Chulai. Good to see you again.
Good to see you again. That took you by surprise, didn't it?
Did a bit. Yeah, there you are. Here we are, and then you come straight away.
And then saying hello. Well, why not change things up a bit,
Yes, exactly. We're past the 100th episode now.
We did.
Celebrated that last time, and here we go into the next 100. So,
Let's do the next. Oh, yeah.
wonder what it'll bring. And of course, for those that haven't realised, there is now a visual aspect to our podcast as
Yes.
well. Obviously, those listening on my radio show are listening, and there are opportunities to now view us on this podcast as well. So welcome along to anybody who is new, either on the radio show or on the Apple podcast, or on the new visual side of it as well. You're all very welcome. Thanks for being here.
Indeed, yes. Welcome, everybody. So today's episode is about stories.
Great. I'm just in the mood for a little story. I'll just order me a cup of coffee, bagels on the way. I'm ready to listen to the story.
Yeah, what stories have you been listening to, Ian? Tell me.
Nothing interesting. No, yours will be far more interesting than mine. I have hopefully still got a book that I had when I was 7 called The Book of Brownies, written by Enid Blyton, famous children's author. I said I'm going to keep that for my children, which I did, and Daniel's read it, and I think he's going to keep it for his kids, but we're not quite sure where it is at the moment.
Okay. Oh.
But yeah, and he's doing the same as me. He's got books that he had when he was 3, 4 that he's keeping to give to his kids. So it's in the blood. It's but keeping stories going, I suppose. Keeping these stories alive, perhaps.
Okay.
Enabling the next generation to enjoy something that you've been enjoying. But I bet that's not what we're talking about today.
Well, we kind of are, actually, because I know you're talking about children's stories, but then there are other kind of stories that we tell ourselves because
right, okay, interesting. Yeah,
the storytelling is in our blood because we hear stories from our parents when we are little, and we start to make up stories because it is quite fun. We learn by doing things, and role play is obviously part of our lives, even from the very little age. So we kind of buy into stories very well. But then how human brain creates stories that may or may not be true is something that actually rules our lives. And sometimes those stories can be really good, but sometimes they're not.
Right.
So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Okay, so that's a little bit more than, it's bedtime. Let's have a story before you go to sleep. 3-year-old, whatever. So it's more detrimental if we get it wrong, and good if we get it right, I suppose. If we get a good story.
Exactly, because I think I mentioned this before in one of our episodes before, but how we form our identity is that from a very early age, from the moment we are born, in fact, we start to have these life experiences, like, I don't know, somebody smiles at you when you smile back, and when you make little noises, they start talking back at you, and you kind of entertain you. You think, oh, that's great, I can just continue to get attention by doing this. And so that becomes an interpretation in your head, even at that very small level when your brain hasn't really developed much. And as it starts to develop, you start to associate events with each other, and then you just basically create interpretations, and you start to create some experiences, and this whole thing becomes your identity because it becomes a story for yourself. If you cry a lot and somebody comes and pays attention to you, or if you cry a lot and somebody doesn't pay attention to you, then you become, well, actually, you know what, I'm a bad girl. Whatever the story that you create in that time where your brain hasn't developed yet, it becomes your story, it becomes your habit, it becomes your identity, like the quote you read in our previous episode.
Yes.
About your thoughts becoming your actions becoming your habits, and your habits become your character, and your character shapes your life, basically. So small little events that may have happened when we were 6-7 years old, when we couldn't necessarily think because our brain hasn't fully developed at that point, we buy into. Basically, someone says, oh, you drop something, and you says, oh, you're a bad girl, you're always going to do this, and you can never make good relationships, whatever it might be. All of a sudden, that's it. I can never make good relationships. You take it as read. You don't question it. You don't go back and see if this is really true or nothing. You just continue to buy into that story. And what happens, and what we believe, like we said, becomes our reality, because our brain wants to find evidence to what we already believe. So I can never make good relationships. What happens? You go and snap at somebody, or you take yourself away from situations where you can start to make relationships. And it
Wow.
basically becomes your life. You create
Gosh,
it
yeah.
because what you believe becomes your reality. So this is why I was asking you, what stories have you bought into in your life that shaped some
Right.
experiences in your life? That
Right, I'll answer you properly now. For people that are new to us, she likes putting me on the spot from time to time. I noticed it hasn't happened for a few weeks, so I knew it was coming soon,
yeah.
and it's today. So I'm now on the spot. What stories have I been telling myself? Yeah, I've got a couple of examples of that actually. So let me think back to my days in industry, and particularly sitting in a meeting. So let's say I'm sitting in a meeting with
Mhm.
perhaps people that are a bit more senior than me. Perhaps I've just kind of gone along on the side with my boss a little bit. It's not really, I'm not running the meeting. It's not really, but I know enough about it. I know what they're talking about,
Mm.
and they're talking about issues and problems, and I've got a really good idea in my head. Or, I'm thinking about the conversation and I can really clearly see the solution. And
Mm.
I'm sitting there quietly thinking, why is nobody saying anything about this? Why is nobody it's obvious. Why is
Mm.
nobody saying it? So what question are you going to say to me then, Chulai, now?
Wow. So why aren't you saying it if that's the
Yes.
solution?
Yeah, why aren't I saying it? Well, because nobody's asked me to. I
Ah,
don't have I don't have permission to speak in front of these more senior people than me.
ah.
Um, it's probably not that much of an idea. It needs to come from somebody better than me. It needs to come from somebody more senior. I don't think I really have the right to, even if it's a great idea. I can see it will solve all the problem, but I don't really have the right to do that because, I haven't been asked to do it. I haven't been told I can
Wow.
because that's what I believed as a kid. You must go to school. You must do what the teacher tells you. I mean, yes, I must go to school. It's the law, and yes, I must do what the teacher told me. But this has become the story. So I must listen and do what anybody says to me. Yeah. So somebody says, "Go and jump in the river." I must find the nearest river and go and jump in it.
Actually, that's the story. Is that the kids can't. What is it? They are seen but not heard.
Yes. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
the story, isn't it?
I think it is. Yeah.
The kind
I think
of
it is really.
generation is just, you mustn't be
Yeah.
heard. You cannot speak without permission. Even if you do speak, nobody's going to listen to you.
Oh, right. Yes, that's right. Because you're just a kid. Yeah. And
Mm.
I can remember also at home, and we haven't talked about this either off air or on the podcast. I don't think I can remember because I've got older brothers. So it's almost like I grew up with three dads, really. My proper dad, who was more grandfather age, and my other two brothers who were more like dad age. So, they, when I was still a little kid at home, they were married and they'd left home. And,
Ah,
my oldest nephew is only 6 years younger than me, so I was Uncle Ian at age 6.
wow.
So what I'm saying is, at one point, one of my brothers and his wife were having a little bit of a marital issue and whatever, and they'd gone off or something, and I think he'd rung the phone, and he was talking to my mum, and she was saying, "Look, it's all right, just can't." And I was sent out. Get out. Get out. I'm not allowed to listen to this. This is adult stuff. This is serious adult stuff. You get out and go and play in the garden. And of course I did, because that's what I was told to do. So, I wasn't allowed to be part of the family problems. I was just a kid that needed to get out the way while the adults sorted it out.
Wow.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, I can laugh about it now because I have done the going back and, is this
Mm.
true? Is this real? Do I really have to carry this belief all my life? And, I realised, no, I don't. But yeah, just a couple of examples. Another one from me quickly is, you know, um, spent too much of my life just getting through stuff. I've got to be at school. I've got to be there. It's the law. We've just already said that.
Mm.
But, it doesn't, I've got to do this task. The teacher's told me to do this work. Never mind what I might want to learn about it or what I can enjoy about it. I must just do it. And then finally, at the end of the day, when I get home, I can do what I like. Great. Collapse, time's
Mm.
my own then. And I'll go back tomorrow and tick more boxes. Doesn't matter why. Just get it done. Get through it. And then, the weekend's coming soon. Only another 2 days to get through, and then it'll be the weekend. I mean, getting through, you know,
Getting through life.
what a
It's like
waste.
torture, right?
What
What
a
a waste.
waste. Ah, you know?
Yeah, well, it
Anyway,
seems.
enough from me. You see, those are a few real examples of,
Mm,
lack of fulfillment, perhaps lack of entitlement, lack of empowerment.
mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
stories I've been telling myself.
wow, amazing. That's actually, I'm sure so many people will resonate with that. And I remember examples of people, oh, it's nearly Friday, it's nearly this, it's nearly that. So we wish our life away
Yes. Yeah. I
from
mean, I
what we're
still look
doing.
forward. I must just say, I still look forward to Friday nights and weekends and things, and holidays. And it's
Mm,
okay. And it's great to have something to look forward to. I
yes.
don't, but it's that getting through, once
Mm,
I've got through this, everything will be all right type
yeah,
thing, in
yeah,
addition
yeah.
to what I've said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I know what you mean. And, there are some hard things we do on a daily basis, but again, how hard we want to make it is
Yes.
our choice.
Yes. Yep.
And
Yep.
whether you want to just keep getting through it or you just want to enjoy and learn and observe a bit more and almost become not a passenger, but a driver in your own journey, as the cliche
Mm.
goes, but it is
Yeah.
your journey. You don't want to wish your life away
That's
because
right.
we take it for granted, the health and well-being and all this stuff that we have, only until you know until we don't have it anymore. So it's really important to not just get through things, but really enjoy and be part of it,
Mm.
become a contributor to our own life as opposed to a
Mm.
passenger in the journey that we are taken through,
Yes.
isn't
Yeah.
it? So
Yeah,
uh,
that's right. Yeah, actually, yes. In the drive, not just having things happen to you.
mm.
Controlling it, making stuff happen that is yours. You know.
Funnily enough, actually, things we already attract the experiences in life that we have because, like I said, with our beliefs and the thoughts and the actions as a
Yeah.
result.
Yeah.
But you can do it consciously and attract the great things that you want to attract, or just you could do it by default and only continue to attract the things that you want to complain about, things that you
Okay.
don't like, things that you don't enjoy, and that's because you're not influencing it. And there
Mm.
is so much influence we can make if we start to break away from those stories that has been ruling our life until now. And it is hard to do that if you don't know what the story is. You've just very clearly told me how many stories you were living through, if you like.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can talk about them with such I don't know, confidence and with zero emotion attached to it means that you're already uh, detached
Yeah.
from those
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Absolutely. I've
beliefs.
done
You've,
my homework.
yeah,
I've
you
been I've
clearly
been back
have.
and hang on a minute, who are you trying to kid?
Yeah.
Stop. But as a child, you've hit the nail on the head. Either today or earlier. I can't remember when we said it really, but you don't question it. You just believe it, take it, and it becomes you, and that's it. And
Yeah.
yeah, that must be happening to so many people, and that is so negative. It's so unnecessarily negative.
Mm. It is, but not only that, but the way we continue to feed with all the negative stuff, all the
Right.
fear
Okay.
mongering, all that goes on in the media, in the news, in the social media, in whatever, we can get sucked into it so quickly without even knowing. So it's so important today for everyone to just take a moment after
Mm.
this podcast and write down what is the belief that is been ruling my life so far. What is it? What is one thing? Just I don't need you to sit down and think about the whole life story. Just one belief
Sure.
that's been ruling
Yeah.
your life, that's holding you back, that's
Yes. Yeah.
stopping you from taking that next action that you want to take. Because
Yeah.
when you do the thinking, you will become so aware, so you'll realize so many things. Just not so long ago, a couple of weeks ago, I realized one event that happened in my life when I was 6.5 years old, and how that's been shaping all the things that I have done so far. I
Wow.
mean, I was
Yeah.
absolutely mind blown.
Mm.
I'm not going
Yeah.
to go into the details here, but it,
No.
it
No.
is absolutely mind blowing how I let that
Mm.
so far rule my life. Luckily, I didn't necessarily. There wasn't a negative impact, but there could be. And
Right.
now that I cleared that, I think it's so freeing to be able to do
Yeah.
that. So, there's layers of stuff that will come up, but this is your first step to take. What is that one big belief that's been ruling your life that you now want to let go of? Yeah.
I think that's good, Chilo, because we're not asking people to make a list, and then that list becomes overwhelming, and you can't
Yeah.
do anything with that. Look at my list; it's longer than my arm. I can't do anything with that. Let's focus on that one thing that's holding back, and take it from there, step by
Yeah.
step.
Yeah.
One thing at a time.
Exactly.
Chill.
And if the answer doesn't come to you straight away, don't give up. It will come to you. You just need to allow the space, because
Yeah.
now that you've asked that question, the answer will
Yes.
come. It's
Right.
just like
Yeah.
watching the phone you want the phone to ring, and you're watching it to
Yes.
ring, and
Or
it's
not, as
never
the
gonna.
case may be, and with
Yeah,
mine, yeah, in the middle
it's
of the
not.
podcast. But
It's
yeah,
never gonna ring. So it's just ask the question and wait for the answer to come, because it will come.
brilliant. Excellent. I think that's a good place to leave it today. Slightly shorter conversation, but we've got lots more of this to come over the weeks, haven't we, Chulai?
Yes, we have.
So once again, thanks for getting together and chatting. I look forward to more of our chats again in the future, and of course next week.
Yes, thank you, Ian.